Great. It appears as though we're live now with the meeting of the Subdivision Authority for Tuesday, April the 20th, 2021 at 9 a.m. or not long afterwards. Looking to the agenda, are there any additions to the agenda?
There are none.
Thank you. In which case, I'll move the agenda be approved as presented. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Looking to the minutes of the Subdivision Authority meeting of Tuesday, November the 24th. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, I'll move they be adopted as presented. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. And we'll move on to item PL 2200-399, subdivision of Lot 1, Block 1, Plan 0715055, Arnica Lodge at Spring Creek Mountain Village. Mr. Gravel.
Thank you, Mayor Borman. Just give me a second here to share my screen, my presentation.
Well, you must keep a glass of water by your bed, huh? Beer just keeps growing longer and
It
longer.
just keeps going. It's the beer
It's
bomb.
prolific.
Okay.
Actually, it's a little further down
That was yours.
there. All right. Can everybody see my
Mhm.
PowerPoint presentation?
Mhm.
Great. Okay. All right, we'll get going. Thanks, Mayor Borman, members of the Subdivision Approving Authority. Subdivision application PL 2020-0399, as mentioned, proposes the creation of 3 lots, including 1 municipal reserve lot and 1 environmental reserve lot in the center of Spring Creek Mountain Village. The application also proposes the first leg of Spring Creek Gate, a public road. The application complies with the subdivision and development regulation, the Spring Creek Area Redevelopment Plan, the land use bylaw, and the engineering design and construction guidelines. The site is located in stage 2 of Spring Creek near Jackpine Lodge and Tamarack Lodge. It's framed to the north by Spring Creek Drive, to the south and east by the Mobile Home Park, and to the west by Spring Creek, the creek. Looking closer at the anatomy of the subdivision plan, we see 1 MR parcel highlighted in dark green in the middle of the site. We also see a single ER parcel highlighted in light green to the west, adjacent to Spring Creek. You'll also notice 1 lot for private development highlighted in pink. That's lot 22, which is for Arnica Lodge, a mixed-use building. And finally, we see the first section of public road known as Spring Creek Gate. I'll just confirm that the site has the land characteristics necessary for the purpose of subdivision. So the site has appropriate topography and soil characteristics. Geotechnical study was completed at the ARP stage to confirm that development within Spring Creek is appropriate, as well as a geotechnical engineer is required to be engaged at the building permit stage for all new development to ensure proper site-specific foundation development. The site also has appropriate stormwater collection and disposal. Stormwater and grading plans have been reviewed and accepted by the engineering department for this area. The site is not within the floodway, nor is it affected by subsidence or erosion. The site, as well as all of Spring Creek, is within a high groundwater area and the flood fringe area. However, at the development permit stage, minimum floor elevations are required by the land use bylaw to mitigate these hazards. The site has access to the municipality's water system and sewage disposal system. Solid waste services within Spring Creek Mountain Village are private and are located on site. The proposed uses of the sites are consistent with the ARP and aligned with adjacent uses and densities. Road access to the proposed lots is also consistent with the ARP. Lot 22 will connect to Spring Creek Drive through the new leg of public road known as Spring Creek Gate. Also, as part of this subdivision and similar to other areas of Spring Creek, a portion of the remainder parcel and lot 22 will become a private use road with a public access easement over it to allow for emergency access and for public access to the Creekside Trail system. The ARP requires that 15% of the entire plan area for Spring Creek be municipal reserve. The allocation of this reserve area is guided by the open space and trails concept in the ARP. The amount of reserves will vary from each subdivision application. Sometimes it's a little less than 10%, sometimes it's a little more, what we typically see. But this is all secured through a deferred reserve agreement registered on the parent parcel. So in the end, it all ends up being 15% area-wide. With regards to the location and size of reserves, Lot 21 MR and Lot 20 ER are generally consistent and as shown in the ARP's open space and trails concept. Lot 21's Lot 21 MR's boundaries, some of the councilors may recall, was further detailed through bylaw 2018-25, so a bit of a boundary adjustment there. Lot 21 MR is identified in the ARP as a creek connector park to provide a natural connection from Village Square to the Creekside Trail System and pedestrian bridge. In the opinion of administration, the proposed concept aligns with this intention. As a condition of subdivision approval, the developer will submit formal plans for the detailed design and construction of the park to the town's satisfaction. So all the fine details, such as where do the playgrounds go and how many trees, those sorts of details will be sussed out prior to endorsement. It's always nice to include a picture to help give some scale to the area and the size of the MR parcel and the private lot. So that's what's up on the screen. The building there is Arnica Lodge, and to the west is Lot 21 MR, or a portion of it. You can just see how it ties into the Village Square there with Tamarack Lodge and the Municipal Reserve in front of it, the plaza. The application was circulated to utility companies, government bodies, and adjacent residents as required. No objections to the proposed subdivision application were received. Administration recommends that PL 2020-0399 be approved as it complies with the subdivision and development regulation, complies with the Spring Creek Mountain Village Area Redevelopment Plan, and no objections were received from stakeholders. That concludes my presentation. Happy to take any questions you may have.
Thanks very much. Straightforward. I wonder if you could share with us if there's anything at all unusual with the conditions for approval. They appear to be very similar to those we've seen with the past applications.
I'll just look at my staff report here. Give me 1 minute. Just look at the Schedule A. I don't recall any unusual conditions, fairly standard stuff. Let's see here. No, so the only one, I guess, is the detailed design piece for the MR. They just need to, again, meet some of the comments provided prior to endorsement with a detailed design for that park. So, but otherwise, it's pretty standard stuff. They need to enter into a servicing agreement to secure all the municipal infrastructure. They need to construct all of the municipal infrastructure, give us securities, that sort of thing. Pretty straightforward.
You indicated there was no input at all from any the adjacent property owners.
None. I think Spring Creek does a really good job of showing new buyers what the future will look like in Spring Creek and beside their buildings. So they're kind of up to speed on what's coming. So there's less surprises. Sure,
I appreciate that. When it comes to adjacency, are the homeowners, the property owners that are considered adjacent only within Spring Creek, or is that, was there notice sent across the creek to South Canmore, or are those?
Yes, a notice is sent as well, because the creek doesn't count as right. Adjacent. Yeah, so.
Super. Councillor Hillstead, you have a question?
Thank you. Under section 13B, the prior to commencement of construction conditions. There's one condition here. It says the provision of securities in a form acceptable to the town equal to 125% of the value of construction of municipal trails, open space, parks and pathways. Is that supposed to be 125 or is that supposed to be 25%? Because the next line down is just 25%. So
It's 125.
okay, it's 125. Okay.
Yep.
Just making sure. Thanks.
Appreciate that.
Are there questions from other members of the subdivision authority? Seeing none, thanks very much, Mr. Gravel. With that, I will move the subdivision authority approve PL 2020-0399, subject to the conditions set in the attached Schedule A, which I'll note also includes the reasons for decision. Discussion on that motion. I'll speak in support of the motion. This project has regularly continued according to or in sync with the approved ARP, and this newest subdivision follows suit in that way. There appears to be nothing unusual or challenging for subdivision authority on this application, so quite prepared to support it. The discussion on the motion. Councillor Seeley.
Thanks, Mayor Borman. I'll also support this. It looks like a good project, and Spring Creek does do an excellent job of getting the information out there and informing everyone about the project. So I'll support it.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. Those in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Now that we're there, did I put a motion forward to approve the minutes as adopted? Can't remember if I did or not. Anyone? Ms. Noel?
I recall you. It's Lisa. Sorry. I recall you putting that forward.
Yes, thank you. I thought so too.
Okay, perfect. In which case, I'll move the meeting of subdivision authority be adjourned. Those in favor? Opposed?